Alright guys, this is a webinar over creation of the audit generated work order, and we'll go over a little bit of the actual cost. I already have an audit generated. We'll start from the audit and go through the whole process of actually creating the work order, itemizing your material, and truing up your cost in the work order. So what we'd want to do is click on our client on our front page of the MHEA Audit. Gives you the option to choose your contacts, audit, work orders, which we don't have any work order created for this job, so we'd want to go to our audits, select the audit. On this page here, we actually want to go to our audits already generated. We have our estimated cost and our audit. We also have all of our information right off the old style 900. Heat unit needs to be repaired or replaced. There's health and safety issues, regular weatherization measures to be done, occupants, square footage, living area, whether it be one story, crawl space, enclosed, what type of framing is the dwelling, how much insulation is actually existing, and eval date, start work date, complete date, blower door test for each of those, and then your initial blower door readings, D&E test, minimum ventilation rate for the dwelling, target CFM, and you can list a post inspection and for your blower door as well. Always, guys, whenever you get to this, always when you get done with your comments, hit OK. If not, it will not save whatever you type in. We will continue on to our measures tab. Make sure that we have everything selected. You can unselect everything, pick the measures that you want. If you're a contract agency, you select the measures that you want with your cursor that you're going to submit for bids. In-house crews, if you guys are doing everything, you can select all, and it will automatically select every measure to transfer to the work order. At this time, we will create a work order with every measure on it. Once you hit the Create Work Order tab, it will generate you a work order. Now, with that being said, you'll need to go into your Measures tab, and this is where you guys will have to true up your itemized material and or itemized cost per measure. Evaluator labor, which that's something that you won't have to do anything to at that point. Duct sealing, you'll want to go in and actually itemize your material to what that you're actually going to be using for that. All of this information you can pull down. This brings this up right from the actual setup library, supply library of the audit. You can go in and put all your materials, which everybody should be at that point right now, input the material that you actually need. If for some reason that you don't have it in there, you can actually just type it in. But if you don't have it in it, it will not let you type it in and copy from the copy supply. You'll have to tab over to the description and actually type the actual material that you're wanting to do and select whether it be each. Gives you a each, hour, bag, roll, square foot, linear foot, just whichever you prefer to use. That best describes the number of material you're going to use. This is something you guys will need to be pretty consistent on pricing, because of wanting to get your actual cost of your work order within 10% more or less of the estimated cost generated by the audit. We'll go through here and put some material in so you guys can see exactly what we're doing step by step. as you can see, as we're going through, it's actually doing all of our addition and everything for us. We'll go through and now put us a labor rate on here. Now, one thing you guys will want to be sure to do whenever you're inputting the information to the audit, like on duct sealing, you're just giving it an estimated cost for that measure. Now, once you go in and true this up, you guys will need to delete that line, which all you do is click on it. It'll black that line out, hit delete on your computer, and enter. It actually takes that away from you. Now, we had an estimated cost at $225, and the actual material has come out to $209.90. So we're in good shape there as far as keeping our costs close. When you're doing your estimated cost to input to the audit, just always a reminder, always remember to get as close as possible as you can to the cost of the actual cost of the measure. Same thing here, we'll go through and itemize our material on the iron filtration. You can pull down and take it right from that, or if you guys can remember repeatedly how you've got it input, you can just type in the first couple of letters and it'll automatically put that up there for you. Putting these numbers in here will actually keep it in that order. Now, if you don't put the 1, 2, 3 in there as a line 1, line 2, and line 3, whenever you generate your audit or bring your work order back up, it's liable to mix and match your material, maybe in a different order than it was to begin with. Just for anybody that might have a question over that. You guys can see there, you can most of the time hit 2 or 3 letters and it'll bring up the actual material that you're wanting. Again, anytime you itemize anything where you've got an estimated cost, overall cost at the beginning, you always want to delete that after itemizing it. One more thing you guys can do on your work order, anytime you have the comments per each measure, you can put in that comments what you want done in that measure. Let's say we want to use the foam board to seal plumbing penetrations. Just a little demonstration there. You can put that, and when you generate your preview for your work order, it'll automatically put those comments with this measure alone. You can actually go through and do that through each measure, as well as itemizing your material on your building insulation. This will be for the attics. Naturally, we want to install baffles each. Say it's going to take about 50 at $1.25. You won't, once you guys get all that set up in your supply libraries, now you won't have to go through and actually type out every word. Once again, you usually hit the first couple letters of the word and it'll pull it up right from your supply library. Once again, there I was just taking out my additional cost for that measure because I'm itemizing it. You always want to do that, because if you don't, it's going to calculate that in with the total measure cost as well. Same thing here on each measure. You can put in your comments, what you actually want done to that measure, whatever it may be. Same thing again. Once you get your comments input, always be sure to hit OK. That way it saves it. Actually translate that to that measure of the work order. Pretty much the same thing. We just go through each measure, actually true up our cost. If maybe a material, your pricing has changed, you hadn't had time to get in there to change it in your supply library, you can actually change it as you're going through the measures. One thing you'd want to do, though, make sure you go back later as soon as possible and true your cost up in your supply, and you won't have to worry about having to change it off every individual measure each time that you do that. I'm not going to go through each and every measure. I just want you guys to get the general idea of what the proper itemizing material and itemizing your costs, truing it up, getting it as close as possible whenever you guys are doing the work order. Let's take for instance that our dryer hose had changed price. We already know it's changed price. Let's say it dropped to $9. It isn't going to make a big difference in your estimate to your actual. But just to show you guys how to do that, you just click on the line, actually tab over to the price of the estimated price per unit, and true it up to whatever it may be, and it'll automatically change that for you as you're going through the work order. Once again, all your health and safety measures that comes defaulted to the program, go through those, make sure you guys have the cost material set up in those. There may be instances that you'll have to go in and change some material in it, which is no problem. You just, as you're checking that through the audit, the drop-down box on the side where you can actually go in and true that up as well. Now we've we've got our work order created. We've got our cost trued up, all of our material input. If you guys want to view and see what your audit actually looks like, before we do that, let's go to the comments. Now, this is one of the important parts of your work order. What you guys need to do here is actually transfer the information from the front of the work order, the old style 900, to the comment section on this comment section of your work order. Now, that's heat unit needs repair or replace, health and safety issues are present. It's just like filling out the old style work cover page for the 900. I'll take just a minute here and go through and input this information so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying you guys have to do it in this fashion, just as long as you get all this information into the comments. That's what we're concerned with. You may have a different layout that works better for you. This same thing here, doing a start work date. You can actually do a blower door out as well. That way the guys can record their start blower door, and then again the complete, when the work's complete, also doing a blower door reading there as well. Of course, naturally, when you're creating this work order, you're already going to have your D&E test to begin with. You can go ahead and input that information as you go. MBR, you know it's going to be 1,500 at 8,000 cubic feet. Target CFM, we know it's going to be 1,600. This information, like I say, is the same information we gather right off the old style 900. My suggestion, some of you guys may be thinking, how you going to remember to get all that on there? It'd be something you can take one of your old 900s, the front page, make you a copy of it, keep that with you till you get in a routine of doing, inputting all the information to the comments of the new style work order. Whatever your preference is, if you want to attach directions or you want to list directions, you can also input that information here as well. So always remember to hit the OK tab. If not, you'll be typing it over and over and over again. We'll take a peek now. We got our comments in, and you guys can see actually what the work order looks like once you get all your information input. Scroll through it, make sure you've got everything trued up that you want to true up as far as your cost. You can use your tab there to tab through the pages to go through. You can actually blow up your work order. As you can see right here, all the comments we input stays intact with that measure alone. There's no question about what you want done with that material. You can do this through every measure. It also has field notes for your crew leaders or foremen, contractors, whoever may be working the job, to take notes if need be in the field. They can write it right here in the field notes section of the work order. We've got everything there that we actually want on the work order. So now we've got a heat pump replacement on this job, and we need to create a bid form for contractors to bid on. So what we'd want to do is go back to our measures tab, unselect all measures. We're going to select the heat pump replacement. All right, we're going to create a work order for that one measure, and always save your previously generated work order and create new ones. If you don't select this tab, it will generate this work order and replace it with the previous work order that you just got done with. Now, with that being said, again, make sure that we click on work order bid form. We'll go to our measures tab. It has the heat pump there. In our comments, we can tell the contractor what we're looking for, what we want him to bid on. We'll say this unit has all we'll just put in there the unit has all correct breaker sizes and wire. Bid on just replacing the heat pump alone. And also, again, always hit OK, or you'll be retyping that over and over again. Now, we've got our bid form created for the heat pump replacement for our contractors to take and bid. Now, to view that, we'll go back to our work order information. Just go to your preview tab under your report section, and it will bring that up. Now, with the bid form, you don't have any cost, either estimate or actual. You don't want to give a contractor a bid form with estimated cost on it. That way you get a true bid from your contractor. Once you print this, however many contractors is going to be bidding on it, you can print it that many times, or you can actually print it once and make copies of it. My personal preference, now I'm going to exit out of this tab here. I want to go back to my client information page where it shows the audits where we started at the beginning, and go to work orders. I've created a bid form. I've done printed this bid form, so technically I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to do completely away with it. Just for the reason, whenever we do our actual cost, we've already created this work order which has every measure we want done on that job there. We've printed our bid form, so we have our justification for contractors to bid on that measure. When we go back to our original work order, we already have the heat pump replacement on this page. And the reason I always done this is because if you leave the bid form in the libraries, whenever you guys do the completion report of the work order, it will generate a completion report from each work order that has been created. If you have the standalone work order, which would be the original with every measure on there, when you do your completion report, you've got all your information that totals everything together as well as breaks it down, which we'll go through in a little bit later here. Now, our job, our crew has worked the job. They've given us a work order back. We've got our actual cost. So we bring our work order back up just like we always did. Go back to our client information. We want to come over to work orders. Click on that work order. Now we're going to go right back through our measures again. We've already got our estimate. Our evaluation labor, it's going to be the same. So we can just hit copy and it transfers that information right over to the actual cost side of the work order. We'll go through each measure here. So what we're going to do, our mastic stayed the same. Our mesh tape stayed the same. Our labor is going to change a little bit, just so you guys can see what you do if you run into that instance and something changes throughout the work order. I'm going to say our labor, it took them an hour longer than what we had estimated to take. Once you input that, change that 6 to 7 on the actual cost side, it will still leave your estimated cost as what it was, and then give you the actual cost, which you're going to have just a little bit different of a figure. What we'll do is we'll go through each one of these and do the same thing. We'll change a couple of them a little further on, just so you guys can get a feel of where we need to be changing. Let's say they use 6 caulk instead of 3, what we had it estimated at. So it's going to generate that 3 more tubes of caulk was used and give us another cost, which being different than our estimate. Same thing here, where all of our costs stayed the same under Audit. So what we're basically doing is just going through and actually clicking on the copy side, and it'll transfer everything right across to the actual cost side of the work order. Same thing here. We'll just go through and copy. That's where it's so important for you guys to have your setup libraries correct. If you keep those accurate and correct, there'll be a lot less changing you guys will have to do as you're going through doing your actual cost on your work order. It takes a little time, but if you know you've got some material that's changed prices or whatnot, go through and actually set that up and true your cost up in your setup libraries. Now, well, we'll change a couple of prices here again, just so you guys can get the feel of this. Once you're doing your actual cost side of the work order, let's say the dryer hose went up to $15. We just change that to 15, and it automatically generates the rest of that for you. Same thing here. Let's say our straps cost us $2 a piece. I actually changed that on the wrong side. Let me back up here just a second. So that brings it back to like it was, and we change it on the actual cost side of the work order, just so you guys know what I was actually doing there. Same thing here. We actually just copy all this right down the line. Our prices was up to date. Everything cost the exact same amounts. Like I say, once again, this is something you guys will need to stay on top of truing your cost up in your supply libraries to keep everything accurate. It'll cause you less work in the long run if you'll keep those prices up to date. All right, now we've got all of our estimated cost in. We've went back in. The job's been worked. We've input our actual cost throughout the work order and all the measures. You guys want to view it. It on the front page will actually give you your estimated cost and then what the job actually did cost the agency after all the work was performed. You can preview that. Once again, when doing so, it actually puts the actual cost in there, gives you a measure total, also gives you your estimated total versus your actual total. You can go through each one. Like I say, make sure that you guys didn't overlook anything and see the difference. Here's our estimated, now here's our actual cost of that measure. Same thing with each one, whether it be the same or you may have had to do a little adjusting on a price. Now that we have all of this information input to our work order, we're going to exit out of this page, exit out of our work order page. What we want to do is go back to our client information. Now, after you guys input your actual cost to the work order, this audit generates a completion report summary for you. There's nothing that you guys have to input to it other than the actual cost of your work order. When you do that, you can just go to preview. Now this actually breaks down, gives all the information, your audit run date, your work order creation date. The second page you'll have is actually a breakdown of every measure that was performed on that job. It breaks it down material, labor, and total per measure, as well as gives you a grand total of material, a grand total of labor, and an overall job total, as well as gives you a summary breakdown per measures. You got your base loads, you've got your building insulation, which it will contain your wall insulation, your ceiling insulation, floor insulation, and duct insulation. All your health and safety measures will be lumped together, and it will group those together under a health and safety measure, which are improper venting for kitchen exhaust fan, improper clothes dryer vent, our smoke and CO detectors. Our heat pump replacement was actually replaced with a SIR, so it has its own standalone measure through the completion report. And then again, with the total, material, labor, and overall job cost. Now with that being said, that's the actual creation of the work order. And this completes our session of creation of the work order, actual cost side of the work order. Our primary goal is to be within 10% more or less of audit generated estimated cost. You guys will need to, I can't stress that enough, to make sure you guys set up libraries are complete, are up to date, your fuel cost is accurate, material cost is accurate. Keep those things up to date, guys, and this will be a great benefit to you. save you lots of time on your write-ups. Any questions you guys have, you can contact your monitor or contact us, me, Charlie Smith, Gary Brown, Rick Skavinsky, Mark Verge, or Mark Powell for any other questions. This concludes all of our webinar on creation of the work order. Thank you guys for listening in. Any questions, like I say, give us a call.